Hello class! Today we've got a special lesson for you. We are going to be looking at Donatello from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Classic Collection. We're going to continue our look. We've looked at Leonardo so far, so we're going to look at Donatello. He's the purple guy. We can see the purple headband there, and he's going like, I'm wearing light purple, and that bothers me. And again, 34 points of articulation. It is international packaging, which is why we've got all the different languages on here, which actually is starting to frustrate me a little bit, but that's what happens when you're in Canada and you buy stuff at Canadian retail. So there we've got the packaging. As we can see, it's like he's busting through a wall, and there's the Classic Turtles logo, which is very nice. Looks, I think it's supposed to be reminiscent of the original packaging that we used to see. So there we got some pictures of the turtles there on the bottom. And what we can do is we can flip this to the back. And one thing I should point out is that with one exception, which we'll look at in a different lesson, the back is the same for all of them. There's really no difference, so there's an explanation of what the line is, a little bit about the turtles, which we already spoke about. And then, again, for the rest of the wave, there's Leonardo, there's Raphael, there's Michelangelo, and of course Donatello, who we're going to look at now. Each sold separately, unless they were smart enough to sell them in one pack, but they're probably not, so they won't. So anyways, enough of the packaging. Donatello does machines. Remember that. So what we're going to do is, we're going to open up this figure, we're going to have a look at Donatello. Okay, here we've got Donatello, or Donnie, if you are so inclined. I'm not. It's Donatello. I'll just give you a very quick look at the figure here. The mold for this figure, for a large part, is going to be very similar to Leonardo, who we already looked at in a different lesson. The head sculpt is going to be a little bit different. He's got a sneer in a different place, and he's... I think his eyes might be a little different. I'm not sure if they changed the turtles' heads or not, or the eyes. I'd have to have a second look at that. But again, we've got the furrowed brow here, which when they take the masks off, it's like they don't have any eyebrows or anything to speak of at all, so I'm not quite sure how that works. I know, I'm probably just being too picky. But there, he looks all pissed off, which is great. The skin color for him is going to be a little bit different from Leonardo. He's a little bit darker. I don't know if they tried to make them close to the original figures. I doubt it, because I seem to remember it was Donatello was almost a brownish color. Am I thinking of the right one? Whatever. In terms of the articulation, which is, again, one of the main selling points for these figures, his will be very similar to Leonardo's, so his head will go all the way up and down. Or, sorry, and around. I just did them backwards. That's okay. We can rotate the arm here at the shoulder. It also moves up. The bicep we can rotate. There's a double joint for the elbow, which is nice. Each of his fingers move on their own, and the thumb rotates around as well as goes up, which is nice. So we can give thumbs up. Or maybe he's trying to hail a cab, or... no, a hitchhiker. He's a hitchhiker. That's what we're doing here. The wrist rotates. And it's a little bit difficult to do, but it does go forward and back a little bit. Mid-torso, he does have... it looks like it's put together again on a ball joint, so we can move a little bit there, which is nice because he's got the big-ass shell here. And it's nice that we can still move him around, so it's attached to the upper part, not the bottom part. Looks like it's ball joints for the hips. They move a little bit. We can rotate... oh! We can try to rotate the thigh here. There we go, as a separate joint. Two joints there for the knee, which is nice. The ankle goes back and forth. The foot also rotates around. And the toes are independent and they can move up and down. And then obviously the same on the other side. So some really great articulation, as we've mentioned before. It's one of the main selling points for these figures. Now in terms of his accessories, he doesn't have a whole lot. He does have his bow, or staff if you're not terribly inclined. I guess it would be his primary weapon. I don't know if Donatello ever used any other weapons or not, besides his brain. Oh! But we can have him hold that. Usually it's a two-hander kind of thing. I'm not going to lie, I won't go into the specifics, but I think the staff, the bow, should be longer. It feels like it should be another, you know, ½ inch on each side. And this tape in the middle seems kind of silly to me, but that's okay. Interestingly enough, they taped this bit white, but if we grab one of Leonardo's swords, which we'll do, the tape on the handle or whatever is blue to match his headband. Donatello did not get that treatment, and he is very sad about it. Okay. Now, the other thing he comes with, he has an action figure stand, Donatello, with the classic Turtles logo font there. I wonder if you can get that font. And, much like Leo, we can stand him on here. I do like the fact that he has the figure stand. I don't normally like them, which I've mentioned before. And the fact that I dislike figure stands, I've mentioned many times before. And the reason I like it is because I find the hip joints are just a little bit loose on this figure. Much like the that one joint in the arm. And this figure hasn't seen a whole lot of use. So it's not like it's just old and overused or overplayed with or something like that. But I do find them a little bit difficult to stand up without the figure stand. So I have to admit I do kind of like having them in this case. We mentioned his skin color. And we'll grab Leonardo because we've already looked at him. And I don't know how well the camera is going to pick it up, but they are different shades of green. He's a little bit lighter colored. Leo is a little bit darker colored, I guess. In terms of the paint for this figure, I find that when you go buy these figures, and I'll probably mention it on at least one other of the Turtles lessons that we'll have, you really have to pay attention to the paint that you're getting. This one was done pretty well. I find the problem tends to be with the eyes on these, but Donnie doesn't look too bad. Oh, I just did it, didn't I? But the paint is overall pretty good on this one. His, again, I never know what to call them. The sash, the belt that holds his weapon. It's a separate piece. This actually looks like it is a separate piece than the rest of it, and if I'm not careful, I will end up busting that. But we'll slap this back on here. And there we have Donatello looking all badass. I don't know if I have much else to say about him, so maybe I, the prof, should shut up for once. Okay. So, if I were to grade this figure, you know what, it's pretty hard to give him a much significantly different grade. He gets an A-, just like Leonardo, because, you know, he's not my favorite turtle. So there's a little bit of bias there. The couple of the joints are weak, and I just wish his staff was a little bit longer. Which is, again, a minor gripe. But otherwise, he's a good figure. Let's face it, if you're like me, you bought one turtle and then you had to buy all four, which is exactly what I did. So we will have future lessons on the remaining turtles. Thank you very much. Class is dismissed.